Welcome to Soulivity.com's passion-driven interviews with founder Brian Wesley Johnson. Each of these carefully curated interviews is all about supporting you and getting inspired to live your best life today. So let's get started. Here's Brian.
Kassandra, it is so great. I'm so happy that you're with us on Soulivity.com. Your story is amazing, and so I'm very grateful that you're here.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here.
Listen, I'm from Detroit, Michigan, so I share that border with Canada.
Yeah.
And I have a great love for all things Canadian. And now I know your business is in Ottawa, but where are you from? Are you from Ottawa originally, or where are you from in Canada?
Yeah, I'm pretty close to you. Ottawa is not that far from Detroit. So I'm from Gatineau, which is like just across the bridge from Ottawa. So really, I'm pretty much from the area, but I was born on the Quebec side. So now I live on the Ontario side. So I'm French. Like English is my second language.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, what was life growing up? What life for you when you were growing up there?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think probably a pretty typical, childhood. I have a younger brother, was raised with both of my parents, and I grew up doing a lot of dance. So I got into ballet very young. That was definitely my big passion. I loved performing and I loved being able to, I don't know, move my body and be with other people, be with all these other girls. It was just so much fun, and always grew up with a lot of pets around, cats and dogs and all that kind of stuff. And I was lucky that my primary school or my elementary school was literally just behind my house, so I could hop the fence and be in school, and then hop the fence and be in my yard. So it was fun. Yeah,
How cool was
pretty fun
that? I
childhood.
mean, but at the same time, I'm sure my parents, if that happened to me, they would be all in my grades. Like, okay, what are your grades? How you doing?
You know
Talking
what?
about my teacher.
I'm lucky that, like, in a way, both my parents were working. So thankfully I had like a little bit of freedom that way, and they weren't too militant about that. So I had good grades. I did okay in school. I wasn't like the star student or anything like that, but I held my own. I did
Right.
my best.
Well, interesting enough, as well as you've done with bringing yoga to the world and bringing yoga in a very practical and progressive way, it seems as though, as I did my homework on you, you found yoga through you creating a support system for the dance part of your life, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I first found yoga, I think I was about 18 years old, and I really
Mhm.
didn't know anything about it. I grew up, I was in the world of dance. That's all I really knew. And I was just recommended, maybe you could try a yoga class. Maybe it'll help you get stronger, get more flexible, whatever, improve your
Right.
balance, help you as a dancer overall. And I
Mhm.
really did not know how much of a spiritual practice yoga was. I didn't have
Mhm.
any context around it. I didn't know any of the history. I really just didn't know at all what it was. So I just thought,
Right.
okay, well, I'll take a drop-in class. And it took a while for yoga to really grow on me. It wasn't love at first sight the way that dance was love at first sight. The way, first class I took, I was hooked as a
Right.
toddler, basically. With
Right.
yoga, it had to grow on me. I had to find the right style, the right teacher. But then when it clicked, of course, everything changed.
Wow.
And, here I am, however many years later, and, doing this as my livelihood and as my whole life, basically. But it
Wow.
wasn't like that. It wasn't like that from the first time I stepped into the studio.
Did you think that dance was going to be your passion? I mean, did you feel as though that was going to be like the thing that you were going to do? You're going to be at the Met in New York, or someplace else?
I wish, but honestly, I knew I wasn't a strong enough dancer at all. So it
Oh,
was always going to be just something that I loved, a fun
right,
hobby, something that I
right,
loved to do
right.
multiple times a week, and that I wanted to be able to do for as long as I possibly could. but I was under
Right.
no illusion or impression that I was going to be the next prima ballerina. Like that just wasn't, a lot of it just has to do with your physiology, like your anatomy.
Yes.
Your bones are either made a
Yes.
certain way or they're not, and mine
Right.
were not. So it was all just really for fun, but I still wanted to be as good as I could be, right? I
Right.
still wanted to improve,
Mm-hmm.
um, and work as hard as I could on it. So I was open to trying, whether it be yoga or Pilates or weight training. Like I really wanted to do whatever I could to care for my body because unfortunately, even at 18, I
Mm-hmm.
was having a lot of issues in my hips, in my knees, in my lower back. Like ballet is very difficult on
Ah.
your body.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
It's hard.
Oh
Yeah,
yes. Yeah. I mean, I mean, I have family that studied, and I have one of my nieces actually studies as well, and they say this all the
Oh,
time that that
it's
it's
tough.
it's tough. It's pure, and it's more physical than you think, right?
Yes.
And so you're trying to improve yourself, improve your dance through increasing your flexibility. And so
Yes, pretty
here's
much.
yoga. And I only bring this all up because I want our listeners and our readers to know that our life is not a straight line, right? And that sometimes you go one direction to find the next path that takes you to somewhere else. And for you was this new life that was born doing yoga.
Yeah.
And not to say that there weren't struggles, right? I mean, there were some struggles in the beginning that you talk about, especially trying to find a place to teach and those kind of struggles, right? Talk a little bit about that. Talk about the early days of
Yeah. I mean,
when.
I love that you bring that up because it's like I've never been someone who will do a 5-year plan. Like I'm never someone that's able to think, where do I want to be in the future? Like there's truly
uh,
no way I would have been able to dream or even think or plan in any kind of way that this is what I would be doing with my life right now. The only reason I'm on this path is because I stumbled into it in the beginning and just followed,
mhm.
you know, kept taking one step in front of the other. But it's just not possible for me to have truly planned this all out to be like a professional YouTuber. Like there's no way that would have been anywhere on my radar, especially in
Right.
like in yoga, like as a yoga teacher. So I don't know, I just think that's funny because I've always felt it's strange to get people to try to plan the next 5 years of your life because you have no idea your life could change tomorrow because you signed up to something, you never know. So in the beginning, I got certified originally as a yoga instructor. I graduated, I believe, in 2013.
Hmm.
And I knew right away I wanted to teach. I had no doubts that this is something that I thought I could contribute in a way. I thought that maybe this would work for me in a way. Like I was very passionate about it. I felt
Hmm.
fairly confident in my abilities, and I was really, really eager to teach. I was just really eager to get in there. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to be hired early on when you have no experience and you're just newly
Right.
certified. And there
Right.
are thousands of other newly certified teachers like you in your area. And, there are only a certain amount of studios and open time slots and availabilities, right? So that
Mhm.
was a bit of a harsh reality. I was very much willing to pay my dues, but it's like, how do you even start if there's nowhere, available for you to sign up for?
Right.
So the beginning was really hard. I took whatever jobs I could, and I ended up really kind of hustling and just creating my own classes. I mean, I remember printing thousands of flyers myself, going to Staples, or I don't know if you guys have Staples, but like an
Oh yes.
Office Depot, Office Max, whatever,
Hmm. Hmm.
printing all of these flyers and going through all of these neighborhoods and putting them in people's mailboxes and stapling them everywhere. And like I would do this for like 5 hours every weekend. And I found a little studio that I could rent. And I somehow would get like a couple people show up every week. So I would barely break even or I would lose money. But like I really, really pushed. I was doing stuff like that. It's crazy because I look back on that time of my life, like 22, 23, 24. And I was doing so much like and getting so little in return in terms of like the results, like I didn't have a name for myself. I certainly wasn't making money. At most I was breaking even doing all of
Right.
this.
Right.
But I really think
Mm,
it
mm,
did pay off in another way, like I don't think I would be where I am now had I not done those like extra 40 hours a week on top of my 40-hour a week job of
right.
just like hustling. And
Woo.
it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, like trying 12 different things, failing at 11 of them, but one works sort of. So I'll
Right.
just keep doing it and growing on it. But it was really hard. It was a really messy couple of first years, but eventually it
Mhm.
somewhat came together.
Well, I mean, again, I'm glad you said that because again, life is not a straight line. Sometimes it's messy, and that it seemed as though as you were going through this journey to really discover that this is your passion, right? And what you want to do and what you want to give to the world, that hey, you failed a couple of times, or as my parents would say, you had these growth opportunities, right? Okay, well, this didn't work, so let me try this. This didn't work, so let me try that. and
Yeah.
and part of that was you found like doing online yoga training and teaching, which now is like your thing. I mean,
Yeah.
or I should say thing, because that's what we do in Detroit. That's your thing. Um, when did you know? When did you know as you were going through to this messy part early on that this is what you wanted to do, or were you hadn't gotten to that part yet? When did you know?
It's funny because I remember a moment. I started my YouTube channel in 2014 and I had,
Hmm.
no subscribers, no views, no audience. No one knew who I was. I was just doing this for fun. I really didn't know what I was doing. And I was working so hard at so many things.
Right.
I was like, maybe I'll do custom online yoga classes by request. I made my own DVDs. I made a free ebook of like 100 yoga poses that took me like weeks to put together and it was free. Like I did so many crazy
Wow.
hard things in the beginning really because I was so passionate about it's not that I knew where I wanted to be. I was just curious to see where could I end up. If I really give it my all, what's possible here? Because what's fun with online and what's fun with the entrepreneurial space is that there's not really a ceiling or a limit. You kind of just get to see how far you can take it. It's different from a regular career track, which always put me off. The fact that, like, I don't know, like I had like a salary cap, or the fact that I knew I can only grow so much in this position before I
Right.
might have to move to a different company. It just felt while it felt very safe,
Hmm.
and I learned a lot, and I had great coworkers and great environment and a great atmosphere. It just felt very limiting, also. So
Right.
I loved the idea that in this entrepreneurial space, sure, I might amount to nothing. I might work hard for a long time and
Right.
nothing really comes of it. But I love the possibility that something big could happen, or
Right.
just the curiosity and the freedom of saying, well, let's see where I can take this. Let's see what
Right.
can grow of it. But I remember I used to work for the city of Ottawa. That was my regular day job. I was just a municipal government employee. And I made my very first website by myself. I made my little website and I was so proud of it.
Amazing.
And I had a colleague who was also a yoga teacher. So I went over to her and I showed her, I was like, look at my website. It's called yogawithcassandra.com. And I just thought it was a cute little website and I showed
Right.
it to her. And I'll always remember this moment because she looked at it and she said to me, she's like, you're going to leave this job and you're going to do that full time. And that thought had never even entered my head. And when she
Wow.
said that, I responded right away saying, yeah, in 3 years. And
Amazing.
I walked away saying, why did I say that? I've never even considered that before. I've never even thought of doing this full time. This was all just going to be something I'm doing for fun on the side because it's exciting and it's a fun
Mm-hmm.
hobby, a cool passion
Mm-hmm.
project. And but I blurted it out. It was like this crazy reflex. Yes, in 3 years. In 3 years, I'm going to be leaving this cushy government job and doing online yoga full time. Like it was insanity. But I did do that. Like it is
Wow.
crazy. And I have wondered, had she not said it, how long would it have taken me to come to that realization that yes, this is something I want to pursue for real.
Mm, mm,
Like I'm sure
mm.
I would have gotten there, you know, but
Right.
I don't know. That's a definite moment that I have. And I'm like, I'm really grateful she said that and that she spoke that crazy dream out loud for me and
Mm-hmm.
believed in me, early on when I had like 10 subscribers and like 3 people on my mailing list and had a first
Mm-hmm.
website. But she was like,
Mm-hmm.
she saw potential and she's like, you're going to do this full time. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this full time. Like, not knowing anything.
I guess, I look at those people as our angels,
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
here's this person doesn't know to the full scope of even what you're thinking about, which at that time was like, hey, I'm just doing this because it's enjoyable for me, right?
Yeah,
And she gives you these flowers
yeah,
that just bloom because you're like, wow, I never really thought about it that way.
exactly. It was permission. Like she gave me permission
Oh,
to entertain this as an option, you know?
wow.
And
Wow.
it was very powerful. Like it was a definite defining moment for sure.
You know, um, while we have some time left, I have a couple of more questions for you.
Yeah,
But I want
sorry, I
to.
talk a lot. I'm a
Oh,
talker.
please, shoot. If we didn't have this ended at a certain time, we would just go because I can just
Yeah.
go with you, girl. Um, I want to frame this a little bit. So you have over 2 million people are part of your online community now. You did programs like Yin Yoga teacher training.
Hmm.
You've written this beautiful book, Yin Yoga, Stretch the Mindful Way.
Hmm.
And then you have a new book, Year of
Hmm.
Yoga, Rituals for Every Day and Every Season. Throughout all these different projects and especially your online community, one thing for me that really stuck out was that you want to make yoga accessible to everyone, regardless of where they live, how they live, or what class or race or whatever. That does not
Yeah,
matter to you. And that you're saying to people, listen, no, this brought joy to my life. I want it to be easy for it to bring joy to your life. That seems as though this is about you giving service to people, what we say is purpose. Like, this is the purpose of behind. I'm passionate about it, but here's the purpose part. Does that feel like to you like yeah, you enjoy doing yoga and you enjoy teaching yoga, but it seemed like over time it transformed into a higher calling for you.
absolutely. It
Okay.
was monumental the first time I got an email from someone or they left a comment on a video that I had done where they really went in depth and said how much this class helped them.
Hmm.
They're detailing how I can't afford to go to my local studio. I would have to get a babysitter. I would have to commute. The class is too expensive. Like, you don't really realize how many hurdles there are to actually being able to afford and fit a yoga class into your day-to-day life,
Yeah.
or people who are emailing me saying they simply just don't feel comfortable in a yoga studio setting. They don't feel like it would be a right space for them. And when I got just those first few comments and that first email, it really flipped a switch for me, because originally when I was starting, I was very naive about the online world. I didn't really think that this was something you could do full time. I hadn't really even considered it. I just thought having some online videos would be a nice way for me to set myself apart from other teachers who are
Yeah.
applying for the same studio jobs as me. And I thought it'd
Hmm.
be cool. Let's see what comes of it. But
Right.
once I actually started to receive feedback from people, and it was beyond feedback of great video, thank you. It was like, this is changing my life. Like, this is having a great impact on me, on my marriage, on the way I'm treating my children,
Mm,
on the way that I'm, moving through my day. I was like,
mm,
whoa, this is a big deal. And it was coming from people all over the world, people that I otherwise would have never had the opportunity to interact with in any way,
right,
like that's
right.
the other limiting factor of teaching in person. Like, it's a beautiful thing, but it's like, I love the fact that online was global, it was worldwide,
Right.
and more than anything, it was free. There's something so cool about this kind of energetic exchange with YouTube where people can benefit from my classes. They can consume and do every video I've ever had, which is like 700 videos at this point. They could do those
Wow.
videos every day for the rest of their lives, and they never have to give me a single dollar. Yet I will still get to live a great life, and I
Life.
will be compensated for that work in a
Mm,
wonderful
mm.
way. Like, I'm very privileged. Like, it is a, great life. But that felt really good to me. The fact that I can make a profit and it feels ethical because people don't have to pay me. If of course they can, if they want to sign up to any of my programs or they want to
Right,
buy my book,
right.
great, amazing. They want to get my mobile app, perfect. But you don't have to. You don't have to. You can just go for free on YouTube. All you have to do is like
Mm.
watch an ad on the video, which I know people hate ads, but it is the way that we get to keep these exchanges. Um, I don't know. I just love it. I love that felt really good for me. And I was like, I feel really empowered by it. And I feel like I'm doing something that's beneficial and that's useful. And that feels worthwhile, in a lot of ways. So I love that I'm doing that. That's the about being online on those kinds of platforms.
Mm, mm, mm. You almost you got me a little emotional on because I mean I think that our listeners and people out in our community don't really they don't understand that number one, this is an inside out job, right? You discover what's on the inside and you put it out and you
Mhm.
serve people. But what also happens is it that service and you being grounded in that affects every other relationship that you have. So, like me with my wife, I relate to her in a different way, in a more positive way. Our son, just like you were talking about your children. I mean, it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful existence. Um, my last question: what's next on the horizon for Cassandra? What is
Oh,
next? What is next? I mean, you've been pushing the envelope for a long time, girl, and so I'm excited to hear, like, okay, what's next on the horizon for you?
it's funny because I think now I'm in, for the first time in a long time, I don't have something else coming down the pipeline. And I kind of love that. Like, I'm kind of
Rest.
really,
The next thing is rest.
yes. Yes, because I had Year of Yoga came out this summer, so
Right.
obviously that was a ton of work to
Right.
obviously to write it, to produce it, but then also the promotion, the launch, like there's a lot that goes into that. And also as part of that agreement, I also came up with like a journal and some affirmation cards, which are coming out in January. So now
Oh,
I'm in the
yes.
pre-sale phase, like they're available for pre-order, but they're not out yet. But then once those are out in January, I kind of don't have anything else lined up. Like, I've been doing this for 8 years, eight and a
Yeah.
half years now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I've always been operating like 6 months ahead. Like, I always have whatever the new project is going to be. Like, I always have something, and now I don't have anything. And I'm really excited about that. Like, I'm going to keep doing YouTube.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'll keep doing my regular YouTube videos. I'll keep doing the regular day-to-day work. But in terms of like big new projects, like I don't have any retreats lined up. I don't have any new programs created. Like, I don't know. I'm just really enjoying it. I feel like maybe I deserve to take a little bit of a rest, a little bit of a
Yeah,
break. So
I
I
think
think
you deserve that.
2023 is going to be a little slower, I think. Although, you know what? I say that and then who knows? Who knows? But right now, I don't know. Nothing.
Wow. Well, again, I think that that's perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
What is it? God worked for 6 days, and the seventh day He rested. So I think you deserve
This
a
is
little
my
rest
seventh
too.
day.
This is your seventh day, right?
Yeah.
After 8 years. Kassandra, thank you so much for being on Soulivity.com and sharing your
Yes, it was a
story.
pleasure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, everybody, we're gonna have Cassandra's, links to her website, all her latest products, right here on Soulivity.com. And we're gonna stay in touch with you as well, because we want to hear about what's going on. I mean, even if it's rest, you're like, Brian, I'm resting
Yes.
right now. I'm asleep. I'm taking a nap. I'm taking a nap. But anyway, Kassandra Reinhardt, thank you so much again for being on Soulivity.com and sharing your own passion, purpose, and how it led to a high quality life.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a lovely discussion.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We want to thank you for watching Soulivity.com's passion-driven interviews with founder Brian Wesley Johnson. From celebrities to best-selling authors, Soulivity.com is all about inspiring you to live your dreams and create your best life today. We invite you to listen to our other fantastic interviews with new ones available every single week. Please also visit Soulivity.com and start your journey toward your passion, your purpose, and higher quality living. See you next time.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this audio is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.